What up? Hit me again, fans. It's time for Brunch Bets. Quick little bet for you to start your Sunday morning gearing up for a full slate of NFL games.
Absolutely. And since we're over the halfway mark of the NFL season and we're looking at some of those end of the year awards, we decided that this week for our debut edition of Brunch Bets, we're going to look at some MVP bets. And so we are looking at a full slate, mostly quarterbacks. Obviously, the leader right now, Patrick Mahomes at plus 170 to take home the MVP. Seth, who do you like for this bet to try and get out ahead of the end of the NFL season?
I'll tell you who I don't like, Russell Wilson, because
Really?
listen to this. Russell Wilson over the last 3 seasons, weeks 1 through 9, he has been the third ranked quarterback in the entire NFL. Weeks 10 through 17, the last 3 years, he has been ranked the 23rd rated quarterback in the entire NFL.
I feel like Russell Wilson is that classic kind of early horse too. There's always the guy in the NFL who in September, early October, gets all the MVP buzz. That dies down because of one thing or another, whatever that may be. There's always those late runners, those guys in October, November, late October and November who start to gain more traction in the MVP discussion. And those are the guys that end up winning. But we always have, I think Josh Allen and Russell Wilson will be this year's early MVP candidates that kind of lost ground as the season moved along. And that's not necessarily a fault of their own, but this is just a discussion that you've got to have the narrative build into that case, not only the stats. And so that's got to be something that's hard to power throughout an entire season. I think that there's got to be a couple other narratives, like for the Patriots in 2007 when they were staying winless. That's a narrative that you can keep consistently throughout the entire season. But it's really hard to keep that narrative when you don't have another one attached to it with your MVP case throughout an entire season when you start right away in September. For me, I have one under the radar guy. And this hinges heavily on the Vikings making the playoffs. I really love Dalvin Cook.
You
He
son
is
of a
sitting
bitch,
at
you took mine.
3,300. 3,300 plus 3,300. Now, here's why I love him for 2 reasons. First of all, the Vikings are averaging on offense roughly 380 yards per game. Dalvin Cook is averaging 150 yards roughly from scrimmage. So he's about half their yardage from scrimmage. That's one reason. Another reason is because the Vikings right now, 9 games through this season, they have 236 points. Dalvin Cook, all of his touchdowns receiving and rushing added up are about 73 points. So he is nearly half of their points scoring as well. And he has only played 8 games as opposed to the 9 the Vikings have played. So that's a great case for that. The other one is the way I look at MVP, and I know this is not the way everyone looks at it. A lot of people look at it as the best player on the best team. I like to think of it as on just the playoffs teams, the piece that if you took them away, the team would be the worst off. And guess what? I think the Vikings probably win 1 game without Dalvin Cook. If they make that, and again, this hinges on a playoff berth, but if they make the playoffs, then I think he should be considered as an MVP candidate, which is why I like this for a second reason. You can actually parlay this bet with the Vikings making the playoffs, and then you're looking at like 100, like a plus 2,000, or not 2,000, plus 4,000, excuse me, because he is plus 3,300, plus like 4,040, depending on where you look at it for the odds for the Vikings to get to the playoffs. You can make bank on this parlay, and you can make bank off of this bet. At the end of the day, I think the easy no-brainer choice is Patrick Mahomes. So he's 25-1 touchdowns to interceptions. And this team is kind of in cruise control. That's why there's not a ton of buzz around them, but there's a lot of motivation going into this Raiders game this weekend, which is actually today when you're going to watch this. And so I think they put a ton of points up on the Raiders, which is when you get that Patrick Mahomes MVP talk late in the season to push that narrative through December. That's the perfect time for him, and he's already got great stats to back it up.
And that entire Raiders defense basically has COVID or is out with contact tracing. So
it's all lining up to build up to a massive Patrick Mahomes game against a team that's on the cusp of making the playoffs and a rival. late narrative for Patrick Mahomes to push that through. And he already has the stats, so he's not having to overcome like a slow start. Yeah, they look like they've been in cruise control, but he's still throwing for 25 touchdowns.
My bet of the day, I got Dalvin Cook at over under 110 yards from scrimmage against the Dallas Cowboys. Way up.
I like the points that Miami is getting. I think that they're a really good team, and they're going to continue to cruise. That defense is for real.
There you have it. Brunch Bets. Happy Sunday. We'll see you for another edition of Hit Me Again during the week.
Happy handicapping.